Hi, I'm Pete Nurse. In April 2020, under the COVID lockdown, 350 choristers got together and produced 3 videos of Laudate. At the same time, we asked people to tell us in a video what Laudate means to me. You'll find those videos on the AXA website, but here's a compilation we put together for you.
The song Laudate, to me, is a symbol for the Australian university choral movement.
It wasn't my anthem. Gaudeamus Igitur was the thing when I started going to IV in 1968.
The music of Gaudeamus lacks the passion that youth demands, and we found that passion in Laudate.
I've always thought of Laudate as like an anthem, and I even looked up what a definition of an anthem was, and it said it was a rousing or uplifting song for a particular group or body, and well, I guess that works for me.
I'm probably one of the people who can claim, one of the few people who can claim to have known Laudate before university choral societies. As a choir boy in the 1970s.
I suppose I must have looked at the music originally. In fact, I have my 1972 Some Songbook, and I know it's a mirror image, but there on page 29 is Dr. Ty Laudate Nomen Domini.
At that time, there was a bit of a transition from singing Gaudete or Gaudeamus, and people started singing Laudate.
And after the fist pumps were introduced in the 70s, there was no going back.
It's a beautiful song, very simple, very easy to learn.
It's a straightforward 4-part piece that doesn't require instruments, and yet somehow it just works.
How do you tell a really, really good part song from an ordinary one? The alto line.
It's the song that I don't think I actually ever learnt off music at the beginning.
From this, one may deduce that either he was an alto himself or seriously wanted to date one.
It's a song of praise. Praise for the opportunity, praise for the world we're in, praise for the ability to make beautiful sounds.
And so what does Laudate Nomen Domini mean to me? Well, not the words are pretty much irrelevant.
The words that in English mean praise the name of the Lord. Kind of ironic given that, as people once told me, the main purposes of IVs were we go there to sing, to drink and to get laid, but not necessarily in that order.
Laudate has been part of my life since I walked into Monash and met everybody there.
My Laudate memory is 23rd of May 1982. I looked it up.
My fondest memory of Laudate was at that IV when I was a fresher.
I didn't really know what was going on, but when we sung Laudate together, I knew that I belonged.
And looking at a bunch of people punching their arms and stomping their feet and having absolutely no idea what was going on. And my first question was, what is the stompy punchy song?
And so I joined in with Laudate for the first time, listening to the voices, the harmonies, the blending, the depth of the basses, the soaring sopranos and everyone in between.
Laudate was something that just gave me this instant buzz. It was just amazing.
Being part of this group that would just organically burst into song whenever the feeling came upon them.
At Central Station in Sydney, there were 20 people, 30, 40 people on the platform singing this beautiful song. And it was one of the most emotional experiences of my life.
We knew the best and the worst of each other, and whatever we were, there was space for that in the choir. And I think at the moment when we punch the air and scream Laudate, we really celebrate that.
Laudate at O Week when I didn't know it, Laudate at the Rose, Laudate at the Turles, Laudate at fundraising singing, Laudate at PCPs, Laudate at camp.
My very first IV was Canberra 1989 and I was on the committee. So I was completely unprepared when we sang Laudate at the Governor-General's residence. I was also embarrassed because I figured the Governor-General certainly wasn't going to understand why it was being sung with such vigour and energy.
Laudate when I realised I could sing the tenor part as well, so doubling the number of times I could say Laudate.
Laudate seems to be this place where only good music and people and fun matter.
all the people come in from around the woodwork, and they come in and they just start singing, and it's like really amazing.
I was sharing a house with a long-term chorister, and I looked at him and said, "Stuart, why are you so keen to have me come and join this choir?" And he looked at me like I'd grown horns and said, "Tam, you drink like a fish and you've got no sense of shame. You're going to fit right in."
I think I've sung it in more places and more times and in more states of drunkenness than I care to remember.
I've sung it at weddings and funerals. I've sung it at birthdays and christenings. I've sung it in concert halls and parks and churches and pubs.
When you start singing it in a pub, then everybody listens. And, well, it's really special. It's not many groups like ours where you can do something like this in a pub and announce yourself and be really proud of it.
Leaping on tables and shouting and throwing our hands in the air as we got to those high entries.
Laudate means to me that the Aix Choirs was where I met Jane, and we've set up a life that is pretty fantastic.
I'll never forget at our wedding reception when, after the speeches, and we'd all had a few, the choristers, of which there were many, stood up and spontaneously sang Laudate. It amazed all of the guests.
And it reminds me of all the special occasions since when I've caught up with good friends from choir, and I think it was even sung at my children's naming ceremony.
1988, Sydney IV, at about 4 o'clock in the morning, a group of us walked across the Sydney Harbour Bridge in the darkness. Some ships just passed underneath the bridge, and we thought that that would be appropriate to sing them through. So we sang Laudate.
Last year at AIV, when we were at the beach and we all ended up singing Laudate in a big hand-holding circle in the water, especially when you're a new member at something like this, you can feel like there's going to be a bit of anxiety, but then you realise you're in this big group and everyone around you is connected to you by this song, by this tradition.
My outright favourite Laudate moment has to be that night when we tricked David Webster. Someone had issued the entire tenor section with kazoos.
And Nick Engelman got very excited during the second verse when we all went, Laudate! He did that, and he smashed the chandelier above him to pieces. And to this day, he still holds a bit of that chandelier.
The most memorable would be an event last year at the funeral of our great friend Mark Dolahenty, known to everyone in the choral movement, I think, sometimes known as Auntie Mark.
Many people came from around Australia who had known him and sung with him over many, many years.
The church filled with this incredible sound, but it wasn't just the singing of this song we all know so well. It was the emotion.
It was just such an incredible way that Laudate has brought people together in shared love of music, love of each other, love of singing, love of intervarsity.
And it unites us across geography and generations.
Laudate means your tribe.
Laudate is the calling in and calling home of my people to me.
It's just always reminded me of the joy of human company, the genuine power of vocal harmony.
Laudate means we are family and you are welcome in my home.
Wherever I travel in the world, there's a friendly house, a friendly face.
It's the friendships that have lasted for a long time, and the music making has been extraordinary.
Laudate for me represents that the acceptance and the sense of belonging that I experienced.
It's one of the things that brings us together as a community, something that we have in common, and community is so important right now.
Laudate represents a link to Australian choristers past and present.
Just that sense of togetherness and everyone's got your back. It's about acceptance.
Connection to each other, connection to being something bigger than myself.
And it symbolises a sense of belonging.
Once I learnt Laudate, it didn't matter because whenever it was sung, I belonged.
We are connected in a way that's unmatched by anything else I know.
Friendship, laughter. It means home.
Singing Laudate has for me always felt very strongly of identity and belonging. So when it was time to name my house, there was no other choice.
Just conscious of
a feeling of warmth, and I think it's that reflection of the relationships that I made.
It unifies us in our shared amazing choral experiences, in our life experiences, in friendship and in love.
Reminds me that my family is basically the choir, and I love how it celebrates harmony at the same time as it celebrates individuality, and that just gives me goosebumps.
Hearing Laudate again for the first time in over 30 years was like unearthing a time capsule full of treasured memories.
Laudate is a key that unlocks home. Not your home choir or your hometown, but a home the size of the country. You can visit a city you've never been to before at an IV and discover friends who are glad to see you again even though they've never met you before. Laudate grows your heart 1,000 times.
Just always knowing that I was going to be looked after and that somebody was going to have my back.
It's about friendship, family, connecting, belonging, and a sense of community like nothing else I've found.
It's pure joy. Singing it with a group of friends or anyone is the closest thing to freedom that I can imagine.
Laudate to me, it just makes my heart sing, I have to say.
It's the joy of making beautiful music together.
When you have a people with a history and a connection, and it's something that we share, it's in our bodies and brains and hearts and minds, and it's in our musical souls, really.
Because it's not just that we're singing songs, but it's that we made all this amazing music together with people that we loved and we adored. And I think that that's really the magic source in this situation here.
I sang in Auks and Pucks with my dear mother, who many of you will remember probably, Judith Maitland, who sadly died in 2012. And now whenever I sing Laudate, I'm never singing it alone. My dearest Mutti is always with me.
The Choral Society gave me a sense of home and grounding. It was a wonderful opportunity to meet people, at the same time enjoy singing some fantastic music.
What I love about us is that we are accepting of everyone and all their differences, and in doing so we realise just how much in common we share.
Laughter and loving. It's always amazing. Unique and ubiquitous. Delightfully diverting is Aches' anthem. Truly touching, it embraces us all.
May the joy of music and the fellowship of InterVarsity be with you all evermore. Amen.